you become governor, you spend 8 years stealing and struggling to, protect that loot. Then you move to the House of Senate, knowing that any major threat would start with a committee, and the committee members would be your colleagues. So you're not there for anybody but yourself. So to expect those crop of people to sit, how many times have you seen a Senate hearing, House of Reps hearing? How many people are attentive? How many of them are even awake during these sessions? How many of them actually attend these sessions? So before you bother about voting patterns and all of that, you have to break it down to the brass tacks. So my thing is this, and this is what I'm going to do. I'm aligned with everybody that says, do what you can. It starts with you, right? My personal mantra is make your little space a better place. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to spend the next 2-3 years reaching out to young people, primary school kids, GS1 kids, with programs, exciting engagement that helps to recalibrate their thought pattern that politics is a dirty game. Politics is not meant for me. I'm too to be a politician. The hope is that when we engage these young people, we'll get to a point where for every 100 kids we engage, the target is to have 15 to 20 of them 1 year later be able to say, when you ask them what do you want to be when they grow up, they want to say, I want to be a politician and a doctor. I want to be a politician and a politician and a journalist, a politician and a pilot, right? Because what happens to your career in aviation? What happens to your career in medicine? What happens to whether you even survive university is all determined by politics. So when you pull away from politics, what you're basically saying is, shave my head in my absence. And any style they like, they cut for you, you take it like that. You take it like that. Thank you very much. I would, with your kind permission, yes, I have to dash there. Actually, got here on an Okada. The traffic was really bad. I'm hoping I'll get another Okada. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you very much, Mr. TheFLEA. It's been nice having you as one of the panelists on this afternoon's session. So I think maybe Mrs. Tolulope would like to, give more keynotes on the future of policy making in Nigeria.
I think if we actually cover the future of policy making in Nigeria, because, the truth about it is, at the end of the day, none of us can sit back and say that they will do it. I think the bottom line of it is they will shave our head, and it's whatever style, like he had said, that we would have to sit with. And the truth about it, like he has also said, currently I have something I call a mini plan or a mini NGO as well, and the name of it is called Nurture to Nature. Now, the reason behind that is we bring together young people, and I use the word young people, not boys, not girls, not Christian, not Muslim, because that's one of the things that is also a problem for us as people. We don't see ourselves as human beings. We all should be human beings regardless of our race, tribe, or whatever it is that we are, and that probably would also help us. I went to a federal government college, and it was in Sokoto State. I knew nobody in Sokoto. My parents knew nobody in Sokoto. So how was I in Sokoto State? 99.9% of my friends are from all over the world because I had no understanding of barriers in terms of you are from this place, you are from that place. The major problems we have as Nigerians now is pretty much you are from here, you are from there. Sitting down here now, I'm not sure that if I had the opportunity to send any of my children to school, I'll send any of them to Sokoto. Why? And I think Fidelix actually mentioned that because he also went to Kano, and he says now nothing of such can happen. And that's also going back to the keynotes in terms of that. We need to see ourselves. Some people will disagree, and I don't understand why we disagree. Nigeria has been Nigeria, where we're all united for some time, for a very long time. Then all of a sudden, we're all shouting for segregation. We're all talking about ZIPOB. We're talking about, my husband is from Anambra State. I'm Yoruba. My father was a king before he passed on. So what are we talking about? So are we saying that we cannot live together as one Nigeria? If we're all living together as Nigerians, somebody will not go to the Senate and be saying that he's fighting for his people to go and do this. He will be looking out for all of us as Nigerians. And that's what he's also said. At the end of the day, policy making in Nigeria is about individuals. When you finish with individuals, you now start looking for your local government, and not even your local government, maybe up until the point where it's your house. Like somebody says, somebody does the road and finishes in front of his own house. And then what happens to the remaining? We're just selfish people. We're self-centered, and honestly, we need to retrospect, take a look back into ourselves, take a step back and ask ourselves, what exactly do I want? What exactly do I want to do for Nigeria? Because as they say in America, don't ask what the government will do for you, but what can you do for the government? Because Nigeria, first and foremost, we're all thinking about what can I do for myself? And it's actually a very, very selfish thought. Personally, again, like I say, it's a mantra I have, that change that we're looking for, not the change of, not that change, but that change that I'm after as a Nigerian, that change I'm after in terms of policies. It begins with me. It begins from my circle of influence. It begins with my staff. It begins with people I associate with and things like that. And I'm thinking that the essence of this kind of activity, a leadership and entrepreneurship conference, is for all of us to sit back and think about what we can do as youths, as individuals, that would impact Nigeria. Imagine that there are 100 of us here, and 100 of us take it upon ourselves to want to do things different. If 100 of us took, like Princess has done, if 100 of us took 1 million, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, how many does that turn out to? If those 1,000, out of those 1,000, if 10% out of them paid forward, imagine what it would be. I don't know, but I think the onus lies on every one of you seated out here and everybody that is going to watch this. And I mean, it begins with you.
Very much. That was powerful. This is like a general question now that we've spoken about innovation, we've spoken about policy making. Now, it brings us back to which one out of the two should actually drive the other? Like, is it innovation that drives policy making? Is it policy making that drives innovation? Would you like to take that?
Okay, before we even go into that, one of the ways by which we can actually work around policy development in this country is, I think there's a culture we don't have, and there's a culture of challenging things. We don't challenge things. Government wakes up one day, comes up with something, and everybody just falls in line. Nobody goes to court, we adjust, thank you. Nobody goes to court, nobody challenges it. Some write as much as, some people try to write, some people try to say things in opposition to such policies. But I want to say today that policies can actually be challenged in court. Policies can actually be challenged in various ways. And I'll give you a very simple example. I say in Surulere, my constituency, where my office is Surulere too. We woke up one day and found out that the local government chairman had changed the name of the streets. Different names. You know what street names are to almost everybody now. I'm talking about something that happened, I think earlier this year or late last year. Different names, unknown names. You just wake up like, I'm on Oladimeji Street, and they change it to something, some foreign name. And I'm like, wow, how do I change my letterhead? How do I, inform people and all those things? So at the streets, we had this meeting we normally do on the street. So it was sort of like an emergency thing. So, and because of my profession, everybody just ran down to my place like, lawyer, come and see, come and help us. I said, can you lawyer, but we sat down, we looked at it, and I said, first off, why don't we just write a letter to the local government and even question the veracity of this thing? And I mean, just find out, how did we get here? So I said, okay, fine. So obviously I had to do the letter, drafted it, this. So what we did was, we now put CC, governor, deputy governor, we copied legislator, everything. We've not even sent the letters to the people we copied. We just sent their own letter. They didn't summon us. They begged us for a meeting under 24 hours. And the next thing, the local government person was like, I was ill. I was away for just 1 month. The person I left here, he was supposed to change the color of the... Whichever way, in 48 hours, the names were returned. Apparently, we found out that they collected 500,000. People had paid. They collected that much from people, but at the end of the day, we had the names of our streets. I'm not talking one street, I'm talking a lot of streets. Now, so imagine, they just woke up like, and normal thing now. So, and that was what happened, and they just did it. But if we didn't challenge it, we would have ended up with different names. So I will have to adjust my own letterhead, spend a lot of money on, correspondence, because somebody just woke up somewhere and decided to change things without recourse to the people and how it will affect them. So sometimes we need to stand up. Beyond just shouting, we have to take legal steps. And that's how you influence policies. That's how you change things. You challenge government not to fight or riot or anything, but there are legal steps by which these things can be done. Then there are some also that maybe areas that government is not looking into. We can write, we can petition, we could do some things, and that's how you actually influence government. That's how you formulate policies. That's how you even give them ideas on what to do. Because if we don't take these steps, one day, somebody will wake up and turn our complexion into what we don't want. And we will adjust, like someone said.
Thank you very much. Just before we bring this session to an end, I don't know if we have questions from participants, and if just to be able to take like one or two. Okay, please, can you please put it down and then, okay, you can give her, she can just go ahead.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. It's almost evening now. My name is Ronke. It's more of a contribution than a question. I've been listening to this session with rapt interest because, the wonderful ideas of policy and the digital age and all that only works when the mindset is right. Referring back to what Mr. Efe said, and also the previous session, I think that the key is going to be moral instruction, back to basics. Because to use the example of the tortuous regulatory processes for C of O, and then also this issue that my legal friend mentioned about the street names, it's not that people don't understand what needs to be done. It's that the will is not there. And self-interest has overtaken us completely, both in the public and increasingly in the private sector. So in order to battle with these demons that are affecting our society, we need to go back to basics. And we really need to overturn the mindset that is all about me first. Because until we do that, policy and all the wonderful technology and so on will not make any difference, because it's the human factor that is lacking in Nigeria. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That was okay. I think we'll just be able to take one more question. Okay. Okay, please. Oh, let me just make it two. Yeah, one over there.
Thank you. My name is Iriolu Oguntuashi. my question will center on basically policy and legislation. Of course, we understand that there are two different things. So, how are policies fair against legislation? And the reason I'm going to ask this question is based on my personal experience as a lawyer. In 2013, there was a policy brought out by the Ministry of Finance saying that locally manufactured biscuits, there will not be VAT imposed on locally manufactured biscuits. So my client happened to fall within that particular bracket. Fast forward to 2017, my client was about winding up, and there was a need for them to get a TCC that will cover that 2013. Only for FRS to slam them with VAT on that particular year, 2013, that the policy covered. Apparently, we had to go to court. And I was very angry getting to the tax appeal tribunal because FRS started citing the VAT Act that gave them the right to levy VAT and everything. And I was like, the policy is very clear that for the financial year 2013, there will not be VAT on locally manufactured biscuits. Now, when I saw the disposition, of course, as a lawyer, of the commissioners, I had to advise my client that we should settle out of court. So the number one thing for me is that could it be that our policy, being placed side by side with the legislation, could it be that the policy at the time that it was even made had no effect whatsoever? To the extent that people are now being confused that the policy is effective, not knowing that the policy holds no water, being placed side by. So I think we really need to discuss that how can policy, how does it fare? Now, that's number one. Number two is sustainability of policies. Because I would have expected that the panelists would also discuss on sustainability of policies. We see an instance whereby a government will come and make a policy, and another government will come without the people that the policy even affected, without them not knowing, and they will change the policy without the people getting to know about it. How do we merry-go-round around this? And the number three question is, we cannot rule out the influence of judiciary on policy making. How has our court fared on policy making, considering the fact that when it comes to challenging policies that you rightly said, Mr. Bosun, challenging policies in court, it may take years for the court to give a decision. And I'm going to give an example on this Twitter. We all understand that there is a case pending in courts on Twitter right now. It's very obvious. It's a clear, contravention of Section 39 of the 1999 Constitution. But still, the court is yet to give a decision. So how do we merry-go-round this? Thank you.
All right. Can I respond? Oh.
Let's just take one more question, and then you'll be able to.
Yes, good evening, everyone. My name is Kehinde Ojo, and my question is directed at the lawyer, Mr. Bosu. You have encouraged everybody here to challenge policies, and I need to ask, I don't know if you understand what naked force means. I believe that in Nigeria today, we are at a belligerent with naked force. And when you make a submission there for people who, I won't call them ordinary, who have only God, and you have somebody has said here that God cannot help us anymore. I don't believe that, but I just wanted to, how do we begin to challenge a government or a policy formator who operates under the naked force, theory? Thank you very much.
All right, fantastic questions and quite engaging. My brother, first off, we know policies are quite different from legislations. Legislations, we know how it's passed into law and all that. Now, but you see, policies don't have the force of legislation. But if left over time, it just becomes like, okay, this is part of what we do and all that. Now, one of the things we have to do is policies should actually be pushed in such a way that they will have the backings of the law. No, not just backing of the law. Now, policies should be made into laws. Because with laws, there's nothing. Like the one you gave, sometimes, okay, a good one was just the one you gave. Over time, every government will come up with different things, different dimensions. Okay, we want to do this. And with so much media backing, you just assume that that thing is a law until it is challenged and you find out that this thing is just, it amounts to a mere saying. It's just something that, a feel-good thing by the government. Now, so one of the things we have to do is groups, peer groups. I think that also comes into his own question. Peer groups will have to come up and push for some of these things. It's unfortunate that this is the only part of the world where I've seen that majority of us don't know the lawmakers. Yeah. You don't know them. You don't know the lawmakers in your constituency. I don't know the councillor in my ward. I don't know him. It's only during election. And they come, they'll just come plenty like that. You don't even know which one is councillor. They start come. Like, Now, I know the one in Surulere is Desmond. I've not seen him. I need to push some things. You go and submit them in his office. But they'll just acknowledge, for those who have offices, some don't even have. They just use somebody's house. They just put some. But you see, one of the ways by which we could do that is you go there, submit these things, and then try and make them push it. Something that is funny, as good and lovely as America is, you see all these people who make guns. They are not plenty, but they are powerful. Yeah. Every successive government, there's nothing you can do about the gun laws. Those guys are powerful. Those guys are influential, and they will just come. Obama came, rant. This one came, rant. This one too will come, rant. He will shout. They will say all sorts of things. There's nothing. The gun laws are there, and nothing can push it. Until some other peer group comes up with something. But people die every day from guns and Now, so one of the things we too could do is we can create a formidable front. Maybe we want to use that with the naked, but I don't know how your dimension of the naked force, but one of the things we could do is come together as peer groups and actually push for some policies to attain levels of legislation so that it becomes written in black and white, then it can be changed. Now, then also there are certain legislations that can also be challenged in court. Thank God I have lawyers here. There are Supreme Court cases that over time, based on the dynamics of human living, the Supreme Court will come and overrule and overturn itself. That this thing is now anachronistic, it is no longer the way forward. And that's what you have. Now, but you see, those things don't happen. They happen because some people push. I know it will take time. Doing a case from the lowest court to Supreme Court takes a lot of guts, takes a lot of money, takes a lot of time, like that. But if you don't do it, you won't get that change that we want. I remember when I was doing my LLM in Unilag, there's a case, Shobamowo versus registered trustees of some. It's about one room. Somebody moved out of a room in Little Road, Yaba. Moved out of a room, another person moved in. It's a case on tenancy at will. Tenant at will. They went, you can imagine fighting on top of one room. Up to Supreme Court. It's a Supreme Court decision. If you Google Shobamowo versus registered trustees, I can't remember registered trustees or where. But it became a case that it's still relevant till today. So if somebody can fight, illegally getting into a room is not his room. So if somebody could do that, then if we take our lives and the lives of our children seriously, I think we can actually push and push until we actually get the change that we want. Maybe God won't help us, but we can actually help ourselves. Yeah. We need to stand up for ourselves. And one of the things that we saw, what happened at Lekki, though we have mixed feelings, and what led us there? We forgot it, and we're fighting something else. It was a different thing that took people there. It was mismanaged, and it became an us versus them kind of thing. That was not what we went to do there. There was something, some of you may not like Dino, but Dino Melai, the senator. You remember the case where you'll be traveling on the road and customs will stop you, confiscate your car, or tell you to go pay some duties because he wasn't paid. You remember when the thing became a big issue? The man was coming to Senate to come and explain. It was supposed to be a landmark thing that will put an end to that thing. They started fighting whether he will wear Ankara or he will wear custom uniform or he will wear his old army uniform. The thing became a mess till today. So in the course of fighting and getting some things done, let's not lose sight of what we're doing. What took people to Lekki was police brutality. Then they deviated into carnival. Then it deviated into something else. Now state is fighting people, government is fighting state, federal is fighting, like that. And we've lost sight of what took us there. We're fighting something else. So it will take time. It will take a lot of gut. It will take a lot of resources. But if we push it, one day we will get the Nigeria of our dream for ourselves and for our children. God bless us.
Thank you very much, Mr. Tumboson. And I would like to say that it's been a wonderful time out with this intelligent panelists here, our participants as well.